Okay, so this is my last video I have to make for today. Haha. Coming back to the results for the lipids test, right? So, remember we started out with this grease spot test, and we have to let the spots dry thoroughly. We kind of left off at 5. So now I'm coming back. Here's my paper towel. I've let those spots dry. You want to come over here to table 1 on page 21. Go to the grease spot test heading. And let's look at our results, right? So here's where the mineral oil was. And you can see there's still this ring where mineral oil was dropped. It didn't evaporate or go away. It's like it permanently stained the material of that paper towel. So definitely mineral oil is yes for the grease spot test, okay? Here's water. I don't see any stain around the water. So I would say this is a no or a negative for that grease spot test. Here's glucose. I don't really see any stain for glucose either. Looks pretty dried out. So I would say this is also negative for your grease spot. And the same I would say is true. I'm going to turn this down just a little. For your albumin. I don't see any real stain around here. So negative for grease spot. Here's the starch. There's the circle. Again, I don't see any stain, so I would say this is negative. And then this is the French fry. And also, I don't really see much of a stain, so I would say this is negative. Some of you might be thinking, well, I thought for sure the French fry would have grease in it, because they can be kind of greasy, right? Keep in mind that not every test is necessarily going to be extra sensitive to the substance you're looking for. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind, and I'm going to write that actually down here. So kind of the question I'm saying is, like, say, why wasn't my French fry positive for lipids with my grease spot test? Right? And so the answer I want you to think of, just trying to make sure you can see all that, test sensitivity. Right? So the grease spot test may not be good for really, really small quantities of lipids. May not be sensitive for small quantities. But I could think of another way to do a grease spot test, just right off the top of my head with a French fry. Instead of mixing up my French fry with water, what if I just took the French fry like this, and stuck it on here, and sort of squished it in? What do you think that would do? You think I might be able to get a grease spot out of it? Yeah, I can already see. See that? I know there's kind of a word in the background there, but I can see this little mark that's being left behind by my French fry. That's probably the grease in the French fry, most likely, right? So how you carry out the test, how much sample you use, that all can affect your test sensitivity, okay? And the last set of results I wanted to do is to go back to the solubility test. This was where we mixed, remember, all these samples with water. So for example, we had mineral oil with water, and we could clearly see how many layers were here. So water mixed with mineral oil gives me 1, 2 layers. Those are the layers they're talking about. You see here, that's the oils floating on top of the water. So 1, 2. So what you want to put down here, where it says how many layers are formed when mixed. Oh, sorry, this was the mineral oil. This would be 2 layers, which means it's positive, right? If I look at the distilled water, right, I can only see there's only 1 layer in that tube. So that's 1 layer. So that means that's negative result. And I can go again. Here's glucose after a while. You can see it's pretty similar to the water. That's just 1 layer. Starch, it's cloudy. That's just 1 layer. Albumin, again, it's kind of a cloudy looking mixture. There's some air bubbles in there, but that's not lipids. That's 1 layer. You can skip this. And then the last one is your French fry, right? So this one's a little bit harder for you guys to see maybe. I'm going to bring it up real close here, see if I can get it to focus. Hold on a second. So this is my French fry sample. Turn my exposure down just a little bit. Trying to see if you guys can see. So here, this is like the solids of the French fry. This is the water it's been mixed with, and if you look really carefully, you'll see this white ring right here along the tube. Hopefully you guys can see that. That, if I look really closely at it, that's actually grease from the French fry. So that would be my second layer. So it turns out my French fries do have 2 layers. Sometimes people will see these solids at the bottom and assume that's the second layer. That's not. It's actually this ring right here. If you look, if I could get you in even closer, you'd see there's like itty bitty little bubbles in there. And that's the grease layer from the French fry. So for this solubility test here, what you want to do down here for French fry, put down 2 layers. Very small grease layer at the top of the water. Okay? And then you can, what's the purpose of this? I'll come back to this question in a different video.